The normal individual consumes among 1.5 and 3,000 calories per day. However, without nourishment, the body starts to break down. Dying from hunger is awful, and it can take upwards of 70 days. Be that as it may, without fluids, drying out will prompt passing in only 3 or 4. Be sure to store 2 or 3 months of canned and dried out nourishment per individual. Military proportions pack a huge amount of calories and have a time frame of realistic usability of as long as 5 years, so get a few in the event that you can. You'll require enough water for, in any event, 14 days, however ideally 4. A large portion of a gallon daily for one individual is about right. If you come up short on the new stuff, you can sanitize water from a sketchy source by bubbling it or including a bit of iodine or bleach. There's likewise an extraordinary creation called the life straw, which you can use to drink water legitimately from a debased source. The straw channels water as it goes through. I suggest getting a few and keeping them on hand. Buy essential tools in the event that the plague you're endeavoring to endure is more awful than the Black Death. There's a decent possibility society will take a short time to refocus in the wake of everything fades away. All things considered, if history's shown us anything, it's that anybody can surrender to disease, including rulers, presidents, despots, and the person who rings you up at the supermarket. If a major part of the populace ceases to exist rapidly, you will need to fight for yourself, and that implies you're going to require some tools. Imagine searching for nourishment, yet all you find are bolted and void houses. On the off chance that you have a crowbar, you don't have anything to stress over. What's more, there's nothing amiss with breaking into a relinquished home while attempting to endure an apocalypse. You'll likewise need to have a standard arrangement of devices in a tool stash. Above all, it ought to incorporate a sled, screwdriver set, a wrench, and a multi-tool. Get yourself some weapons. Survivalists are notable for amassing weapons and ammunition, and not only for chasing. On the off chance that the most noticeably terrible occurs and enough beyond words will disintegrating collapse. After that occurs, life will look a great deal like a dystopian film, and you're going to need to battle for yourself. When zombies begin strolling about, they'll murder you and your entire family for a healthy dinner and a protected spot to remain. Your best safeguard is a decent offense, and that implies you require weapons. Shotguns are extraordinary at chasing feathered creatures, but on the other hand, they're perfect for lacking elbow room battle. A rifle is required for chasing greater creatures, so get one with a decent degree. Lastly, guns, they're little, simple to utilize, and have incredible halting force. I'd likewise propose you get a book on chasing and cleaning animals. If you don't approach weapons because of nearby laws, a clever or crossbow is additionally extraordinary at chasing and safeguarding yourself. At any rate, get a decent chasing blade and trust in the best. Stock up on disinfectant. Plague specialists wore abnormal covers with noses loaded up with herbs intended to clean the air as they relaxed. This was on the grounds that they thought illness was spread through terrible stenches. That thought has been disproven. Yet it gives us a genuine case of how to get ready yourself when a disease is airborne or spread through touch. Standard shopper items that execute the most destructive pathogens are modest and effectively found. Load up on Blanche, which can clean anything, and as I referenced before, it can make water safe to drink. Hand cleanser is acceptable after all other options have been exhausted, yet not when there's an awful bug noticeable all around. Get some hand sanitizer, and use it at whatever point you contact regular articles or interact with others. In the event that you don't have any of that, liquor will murder most germs. Yet it ought to be utilized as a last resort. If you choose to purchase an advanced vial, careful ones won't help against the coronavirus. You'll be needing a CBRN-grade full-face veil. These are a concoction of natural, radiological, and atomic safeguard appraised. Create a safe room and house you're going to need to protect your home. And that implies you'll need to go to that trusty thing that has helped keep the US military running easily for a considerable length of time: conduit tape. It's anything but difficult to tear. Sticks to everything and will assist you with making sure about your home and keep the infection out. And keeping in mind that you're purchasing the tape, get a lot of plastic drop cloths. If you figure shutting the front entryway and closing all the windows will keep the infection under control, ask yourself, when was the last time a creepy crawly got in? In the event that arachnids and ants can discover their way into your home, so can an airborne disease. Use the drop materials to cover each window and entryway, fixing them with pipe tape as you go. In the event that you have a chimney, close the pipe and seal that up as well. The exact opposite thing you have to do is build up an isolated room in some place in your home. This is the place you would put somebody who is giving indications of disease to segregate them from the remainder of the gathering. Prep your immune system. The only defense our bodies have against a potentially deadly infection is its immune system. The best way to keep yourself in fighting shape is to take everything from lysine and vitamin C to exercising regularly. You're going to want to stockpile some medicine. So gather up as much as you can. Score some antibiotics, and ensure that anyone who needs insulin or an EpiPen has a ready supply. If you have a prescription, don't wait until the last minute to fill it. Have at least a month's supply on hand, or you could experience dangerous withdrawal symptoms, especially where antidepressants are concerned. Going cold turkey on prescription medicines can mess you up faster than the plague, so always make sure you have ample. Additionally, you should have cold medicine, multivitamins, antibiotic ointments, and a well-stocked first aid kit. After all, you don't want to survive the plague of the century and end up dying from an infection after you get a cut on your hand. Create a bug-out bag. Perhaps the most punctual thing a legislature will do when there's an episode is to isolate the tainted territories. This has occurred in Wuhan. And inside of generally brief time frame, in excess of 10 million individuals have been compelled to remain put. But while this was going on, outsiders, who weren't contaminated, were cleared. In the event that something very similar happens where you may wind up compelled to escape with next to zero notification. In these circumstances, it's in every case great to have a bug-out sack ready. A very much loaded pack needs all the things I've discussed on this rundown. In any case, only enough for a 72-hour period. You ought to likewise include a crisis radio, electric lamp, save batteries, waterproof matches, and a stone and steel. Remember garments and ladylike cleanliness items also. While you can purchase bug-out sacks from different spots on the web, most survivalists would concur you should stock your own depending on your own needs and well-being requirements. You'll additionally need to keep a duplicate of your city's fiasco plan in it, which can show safe approaches to go in a crisis. Prepare for a barter economy. On the off chance that the flare-up clears out an enormous bit of the nearby populace, the survivors will be left to get the pieces. The entirety of that valuable money you escape the bank may not be a lot of good in the aftermath. You're going to need to take advantage of history and get familiar with the advantages of a deal economy. Everything in a post-pandemic circumstance will depend on the exchange. No one is going to surrender their penicillin for a bar of gold or a wad of cash. Before Hitler and his National Communist gathering came to control in Germany, the country was administered by the Weimar Republic. The economy was a ruin, and the cash at the time was essentially useless. Individuals went to an underground bargaining framework, and it functioned admirably enough to prop things up. the equivalent is genuine right now in present-day Venezuela. The most ideal way you can plan for this is to load up on a great deal of regularly required things. This could be disinfectant treatment, face covers, different kinds of medication, or whatever else individuals should endure a plague of incredible scale. What's more, remember, nuts and bolts. For example, bathroom tissue will be sought after. Get hold of some boredom busters. Once an outbreak occurs and spreads to your area, you may find yourself quarantined for a long time. If the power has gone out, you can forget about watching The Mandalorian or playing Fortnite. But that doesn't mean you have to let boredom be your downfall. Even if the power's gone out, there's still a lot you can do to stay sane when the social influencer in your group realizes that Instagram's gone and he needs some attention. Make sure you have lots of books to read. Get a variety of entertaining titles, but you should also keep some survivalist manuals on hand as well. You never know when they might save your life. Puzzle books and old school board games are also an excellent way to pass the time. Boredom may not kill you directly, but it can make your life miserable, so plan ahead. Prepare for the worst. It's conceivable that somebody in your gathering will pass on. At the point when that occurs, their body will start to deteriorate very quickly. It will discharge put-away gases and stool, and it can even now spread disease. Ebola is particularly awful where contamination from carcasses is concerned, on account of the monstrous measure of blood included. Be that as it may, a body can be risky, regardless of whether passing was caused normally. It is basic that you don't contact the body without gloves and a mask. Disposing of a body is no simple errand, and on the off chance that you viewed our video on Unfathomable Sense, you'll realize that the smell of consuming people isn't something you need to understanding. Rather than incineration, make like a Mexican medication cartel and break down the remains. Your best wager is to cover the body and spread it with lye. Snatch a scoop and burrow an opening roughly 6 feet down. Cautiously store the body and sprinkle a couple of cups of lye over it, and cover it with the earth. Inside a generally brief time frame, it will demolish everything except the bones and teeth. 10. I prefer to bring up that while this rundown is somewhat for diversion, it highlights an undeniable threat today. If it's not too much trouble, look into your city's catastrophe plan and ensure you are as ready as you can be. Pandemics and sicknesses don't ordinarily give guidance ahead of time. Things are raising, and this might be your solitary opportunity to act. Good karma. We may all need it.